So most of us as developers customize our IDEs and our terminals, but when's the last time you customized Windows? Windows has quietly been adding some really powerful features for developers, including things like the command sudo, File Explorer with Git integration, and something called a dev drive, which will help speed up your workflow and give you extra performance. So in this video, I'm going to show you 5 Windows features that you're probably not using, but you absolutely should be. So the first feature is end task. So you know when you're developing and your app hangs, or if you're using something and then it freezes, and you have to go into Task Manager, find the app that's running that might be bouncing around the list, select it, and then select end task here at the top. Well, now there's a better way of doing it that's built into Windows. If you head on over to your system settings and scroll down to advanced, in here at the top there's this feature called end task. And this enables end task right in your taskbar if you turn it on. So here in my taskbar, I can right click on, for example, Task Manager, and now we'll see end task right here. And this will end the process in the same way that works in Task Manager. Next up is still in this advanced system settings page, but now we're going to head into File Explorer. Here at the bottom, we've added this File Explorer version control section. And what this does is it will register a repository as a Git repo, and then it's able to display Git information directly in File Explorer. So you can simply choose a folder that is a repository, and then select it, and it will register as a repo here in Settings. Then if I navigate to any of these repos in File Explorer, I should get Git information. So here I'm in the PowerToys repo in my GitHub folder. So here you can see all the last change messages coming in, which are all coming from Git. And you can see different columns as well. So if I right click on one of these, you can add any of these extra ones, like last change author email and name and last change ID as well. Also here at the bottom is the branch name as well as the diff status of whichever branch you have checked out. Lastly, there's also this version status column, which I'll show you how that works with another feature that I want to talk about. So let's say I wanted to edit the README. Instead of double clicking on this, let's go into Terminal. In Terminal, I can type edit and then the file name. Edit is now shipped in Windows and it's a command line editor, similar to Vim. So this comes already by default in your Windows installation on newer versions of Windows. And here I can make changes to the README and use it exactly as I would any command line editor. What's also nice is that these are clickable here at the top. So anything in the file menu or edit, etc. is usable with the mouse. My favorite is that you can exit this by just clicking rather than having to remember a bunch of shortcuts, which I can never remember for like exiting Vim, for example. Another thing to note about Edit is that it's an open source utility that was rewritten in Rust. So the edit tool is an homage to the original edit command line editor, but now it's been rewritten with Rust and it's extremely fast as well. So you can check out the GitHub repo at Microsoft/edit. And another reason I love to use Edit is that it's really quick at loading very large files because it only loads what's being displayed in the screen buffer and then everything else it will pull in as you scroll. So this makes editing really large files pretty much instantaneous because that's the way that it behaves in the terminal. So now if we go back into File Explorer, you can see that the version status of the README file has changed to modified. If I add this, it'll change to staged. Then if I commit this, the version status goes back to blank, but then you can see my last change message here. And you can see that I've got now an upstream change waiting here in main as well. Obviously don't push to main. This is purely for the demo. So I'm gonna stash this when we're done. Now another terminal feature back in the System Advanced page is Sudo. We've added the ability to run sudo in Windows, so those who are familiar with Bash or Linux who want to run commands as admin with sudo, you can now do that. And all you have to do is just enable this feature in this Advanced Settings page. So you don't need to run the whole tab as admin, you can just run a command as admin with sudo. So here I can run a command that I know requires administrative privileges, such as winget source reset force. It's telling me I need admin privileges. So if I run the same command and put sudo in front of it, now I get that UAC prompt, I can approve it, and then this will run no issues at all. And I didn't have to create a new terminal instance that's running as admin. I could just stay in my flow using the command. All is good. And now the last feature I want to talk about, which is also in this advanced page. If you haven't checked out the system advanced settings page, there's a lot of good stuff in here, like enable long paths, for example. But the one that I want to talk about lastly is at the bottom, and it's called dev drive. So dev drive is essentially a new disk or volume that you would install on your machine that runs on REFS, or the resilient file system, compared to Windows itself, which usually runs on NTFS. So REFS is a lot faster when it comes to I/O, file in and out operations, for example, like Node. So if you have any coding projects, I recommend creating a dev drive and then putting all of your repositories into the dev drive, because you'll see a big performance boost. And here you can see I already have my dev drive. So if you've noticed, I've been navigating to d:/GitHub. That's where all of my repos are. And it's running using REFS. So to create a dev drive, you can just go through this create dev drive flow. I also recommend, if you want even more performance, you can resize an existing volume. Creating a VHD will have a virtualization layer that might add a little bit of a performance delay. But you can resize an existing volume. This will likely be your C drive, and you can go through these steps to create a dev drive that way. There's also more information about dev drive over on the Microsoft Learn site, and you can click the link in settings to read more about it. And if you want more of a lightweight option, you can still create the VHD option, and that will still give you a performance boost. So it just depends on what you want to do with your machine. So we talked about Ntask, File Explorer with Git integration, Sudo, Edit, and dev drives. I hope some of these were new to you, and I hope you go set them up and try them out yourself. If you want to get more Windows tips and tricks, definitely subscribe. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.